Hey, welcome. We are on the G.A.C. Central Coaches Preview. So team preview, coaches preview. We're previewing everything. So basically baseball's coming up just around the corner and we're talking to the different teams. Now we're into the Central. And we have Justin Schmidt, who is the new head coach at North Point High School. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. This is my first year here or as the head coach at North Point, second year overall. Yeah, I'm excited. It's a new program, and I think we got some great things in store for us.
I mean, from looking through, it looks like you got a lot of guys back. It's wonderful. I personally, I'm excited for you. I mean, I coached you.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just say a long time ago.
Yeah, but a very long time ago.
You didn't have to put the very in there. but it's a lot of fun when I get to see guys that love the game, stay attached to it, coach it, start at the C team, JV, varsity assistant, and then opportunity to take over a program, especially one with this kind of talent because, I mean, I really think you can do something special there. So,
yeah, it's been it's been quite the journey, quite the ride. I mean, you've been a part of it quite a bit. I mean, this will be my 20th year coaching, 19 years as an assistant, and like you said, everything from freshman to JV to varsity assistant and sort of everything in between. But I'm excited about this, this opportunity and being the head coach. And yeah, like you pointed out, we're such a new school and we're still building, our program and our brand and everything. And this is the first year where the seniors have gone through all 4 years. Yeah. So they've been a part of the culture. They've been a part of the North Point community. This is their school, and I know that these guys are fired up, ready to go. We've had a smaller senior class the last couple of years. Really, we lost some key guys, a couple key guys. Our starting second baseman, starting center fielder. We're gonna have to replace a little bit up the middle. But really, the other 7 positions we've got coming back. And we've got not only those 7 positions coming back, but we've got some guys that were waiting in the wings and some sophomores that are going to be juniors and some freshmen that are sophomores now that had a lot of success in the lower levels. And, I think that there's a lot of great things that are in store for this program this year and in the future.
No, and I think everyone looking in the G.A.C. is looking at North Point as the team that can really – the talent in Wentzville just alone, I mean, from Liberty it's there. And North Point has a tremendous area to pull from, and there's talent. And, I mean, I got to see the building for the first time recently.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's beautiful. The facility, I can't wait to get out and look at the baseball field and stuff. So,
yeah, the G.A.C. has a very, very long history of baseball, let's call it dominance. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, how many years has there not been a G.A.C. team in the Final Four or playing for a state championship, going back into the 90s and all the way through today? And speaking of the facilities, we do have some pretty nice facilities, especially outside. I got to give a shout out to my man Jim Van Zant. Jim's the man. Jim, he takes care of our fields. He is there from sunup to sundown. It was a big change for me last year, coming from Howell, where you have to do a lot of work on the field to Jim saying, yeah, don't touch that thing. Don't touch the field. Don't you can sweep a little bit, but I got everything else. He works part-time for the Cardinals, and he's basically transplanted the Cardinals grass into our field. And it's the facilities are very, very nice, and we're very lucky to have that.
Yeah, that is very different than the experience we had.
Yes.
So we both worked for Tony for, I don't know how many years you were assistant, 3, 4, I don't know.
I was his varsity assistant for 4 years, but I mean, I obviously working in the program for 16, 17, so.
That's one of Tony's, questions on the interview, how are you with the field? Do you
yes.
So that's, that's awesome. So to have a guy that actually takes care of it, because in high school baseball, that's a rarity to have facilities that are well maintained. Mm-hmm. So, Jim, great job. I don't know you, but I hear great things about you. So you got the facilities, you got a young team, you got guys coming back. So we'll jump into some of these guys coming back. I mean, looking and talking to you a little bit, it looks like you got a lot of guys that got a lot of experience last year, and that should help.
Yeah, like I said, we're really losing as far as our everyday players. We're losing our second baseman and center fielder. But really, we got a ton of guys back. And it starts, I think, at the top. Leadoff guy last year, and I'm looking at him as the leadoff guy again this year, is Joe Gonzalez, Jr. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife, can do it all. He played a little bit shortstop, third base last year. I'm looking for him to even come in and close a little bit. He's got a rocket arm thrown across the infield. He's quick, and he's just like your prototypical leadoff middle infield guy. He's just a baseball junkie, is there every day, doing everything, and then we've got our top of the line guys too with like Jack Cowling, going to Evansville for pitching. He was our the number one pitcher last year for us. Played some third base, played some first base. Looking to him to lead us as a team and be the leader. Having a lot of conversations with him. We've got some other guys, some other seniors, Braden Clossy, Peyton Burdell. Those guys have been working tremendously hard already in the off season. They've been in the weight room every day. Braden played outfield for us last year. He's got a strong arm. He's fast. He's a bigger frame, and we're looking for great things. Peyton, he's coming off an arm injury. He missed some football this year as well. He primarily was DH. I know he caught a little bit, played first base. He's a bit of a versatile guy as well. And then just kind of looking down the line here as well, Kevin Mangrum, another senior, he started at shortstop. I know and that's what you want is middle of the field guys. If you can solidify, catcher, shortstop, second base, center field, and have that middle of the field set, I think you're going to win a lot of ball games, and your defense is going to be great. And Kevin's coming back to us, starting shortstop. Max Chancellor, Brady Eisenbath, both of them, they split some time at catcher, outfield as well. So, we're looking for those guys to step up as catcher as well and really solidify that position. Gus Nenninger, he was one of our top guys. And really we do have, as far as pitching is concerned, our top three guys are back between Cowling, Nenninger, and Ben Barfield. Those three guys are back, and so when we go into conference play, I mean, we're looking very, very good and confident in the strength of our pitching staff.
Well, especially you guys were in the North last year,
right?
So bumping up to the Central, you get to see different teams. It's definitely a step up, just size wise, and that's a big jump. And Timberland goes down, which they're loaded.
Right? Yeah, the G.A.C. The G.A.C. South has, I feel like has been kind of, I mean, that's where I'm more familiar with. That's always been a dominant conference. But even just recently, the G.A.C. Central has been very, very strong. You got Zumwalt East. They've won, they won a district championship or whatever it was, just Final Four. Zumwalt South the last few years. They've made it, pretty far in the playoffs and Final Four teams. Timberland dropping down. I mean, obviously they've got, the pitching staff and some of the guys that are there, and then us moving up and Washington, they're always they had a solid team just a year or two ago, and they're building there, and the other Coach Golf, I guess, at Washington, he does a tremendous job there too, and
well, those three, and having three guys for conference games is such a huge. If your Tuesday and your Wednesday guy, and those guys you can figure it out. And obviously, they're all competing because everyone wants to be those conference guys. Because those are the rivalry games. Like you go play Timberland, it's a big deal. So everyone wants to be on the mound for that. So to have three guys with experience coming back, especially on a D1 arm, that's a nice little weapon for you.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice thing to step into. Is having a guy that's going to Evansville that was literally one game away from going to the College World Series last year, and I was talking with Jack Cowling the other day, and he said he's been working hard and he's gained 17. I mean, he's tall. He's 6'5", whatever he is, and he's gained 17 pounds already just in the off season, and he's putting in the time, and so he's already a upper 80s, low 90s guy, and he's got the frame that we're looking for some big things, both offensively and defensively, pitching wise, from him,
And that's it. It's when you have an athlete like that, that's special,
right?
And the balance of, if he is your Tuesday guy, it's tough because then it's like you're DHing him first base. I mean, as a coach, you start trying to figure out, how do I protect his arm? Because obviously his future is more important than
right.
But if he can swing it.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was looking at the stats and stuff from last year. I mean, he was the second leading hitter, 330 average, and had close to 30 or so hits, and he was pretty consistent offensively too. And so he's going to do great things, I think, for us.
Well, that's nice that you got him.
Yeah, it is.
You got the top 3 arms. What about behind them as far as guys? Obviously, I'm assuming schedule-wise you're going to try to challenge yourself Saturday. I mean, most teams around here, you're trying on Saturdays to really see the best competition.
Right.
And you need other arms besides.
Yeah, I mean, when I found out that I got the job, one of my first calls or texts, for one, was to the AD to try to get us into like the Troy tournament, and then text to Coach Perkins to get in the Midwest Classic. I know they're full at least right now, but we did at least get into the Troy tournament. So that's that's an early season tournament, and that's what I wanted to try to do is get in those early season tournaments, those tough tournaments, get in those Saturday doubleheaders, so that you can get the maximum amount of at-bats and really see what you have, right? We know that we've got the top 3-4 arms for conference and stuff, and now, those non-conference games and those Saturday doubleheaders, it's figuring out, who we've got. We got a couple other guys. Frankie Trevino, he was kind of had some arm issues last year. He just signed with SBU last week, and, he's coming off, I think, a great offseason, and I think, hopefully we can rely on him to be some non-conference Saturday guys. Blake Willerning, he's a tall, big lefty. He's been, doing a lot of work with P3 and stuff in the offseason, and I think we're looking for some big things from him. Jamison Brown is a junior that that started a couple games for varsity last year, did a great job in those games, and I know he's working hard, and we're expecting, like I said, some big things from him as well. And then just a couple other guys, Aiden Cox, Carter Forrest, Caden Pyatt, Alex White. I mean, those guys, are making the jump from JV to varsity, and, did great things for the lower levels. And, in all honesty, I think we talked about it as a staff, as a coaching staff last year. I think even last year we were 1 year away, and I think this is the year where we feel like we have a full program. The senior class last year was still very small because they got to choose where they wanted to go, but this is the first year we've got all 4 classes. We're going to have full groups, and we can, I think, hopefully build something special.
Well, they start having pride in the program. Like,
right.
Jack Cowling, I'm guessing he's been there since freshman year.
Yes.
Like, you've been there 4 years. That's his school. It was never a thought of going to Holt or whatever. It's like now they're able to kind of set the trajectory of the program.
Right.
And it sounds like the work ethic these kids are putting in and the talent they have, they can leave a mark real quick on the baseball program moving forward.
Yeah, and, we have already talked about it here today. I mean, baseball in the G.A.C., baseball in St. Charles County it's a major sport. I got board approved end of October, and then that Friday I had a team meet and greet and team meeting, and so far I've had, what was it today? I had another 2 freshmen. So 76 potential players have filled out the preseason Google form or whatever. That's freshmen through seniors, and so we got good numbers, and we're gonna just keep building the program. Absolutely.
So as far as position players, I know you've gone through some of them. You have your returning shortstop. Is there any position there that's you lost your center fielder? Shortstop. Is there shortstop? Second base? You lost second base.
Second baseman, yeah. I know.
It happens.
It's all right.
You got a lot of options. Are there any younger sophomores that possibly can contribute a little bit?
Yeah, like I said, we talked about this as a staff. The freshman team last year was like 15-1. The JV team was like 15-6, 16-5, something like that. Varsity was a little bit under 500, but that was starting 5 or 6 sophomores and really only 2 seniors. There's some sophomores, I think, that and I think that's the great thing about having success in the lower levels is those younger guys are going to push.
Yeah.
I think last year maybe some of the older guys, maybe they felt comfortable with, they didn't have anybody pushing them, but there's going to be guys pushing them. And, I'm coming from the lower level at North Point, and I know those guys. And I know them really, really well. And there's guys like, Carson Bowers who can catch, can play outfield. I mean, when he steps on the field, he's going to be one of the 2 or 3 fastest players out there. He's got the speed and just he's just a baseball guy. Even guys like Ollie Collier. I mean, he was one of my starting second basemen at the freshman level. His work ethic is tremendous. Brendan Dickherber, he was my leadoff guy. He was kind of a do-it-all. I mean, my 2 catchers at one point last year at the freshman level both got hurt, and he was my starting shortstop. But he was, he was the best athlete out there. So I was like, hey, go to catcher. And he had never caught before. And I think in the 2 or 3 games he caught, he threw out like 2 or 3 guys. Yeah. And he could just kind of do it all. And again, they brought him up to the varsity level last year, and he courtesy ran and scored a couple runs. And he's a guy that I think he has a very legitimate chance at playing at the varsity level. Jaden Flores, he was a starting center fielder at the lower level last year. Started for the football team this year as a sophomore, so he's got some varsity experience. Yeah. And again, he made some catches last year that even at the varsity level, people would have been wow, like him going to get the baseball. Even some other guys, Dane Harris, he was probably my top pitcher. I don't know if he'll be ready yet for the varsity level. He may get some spot starts on like Saturdays,
and
just get some stuff like that. Yeah. And then another guy, this Tyler Kometz, he's getting some time at the varsity level for basketball this year. Great athlete, again, tremendous worker and stuff like that. And even, some of the sophomore JV guys, that did very, very well last year. I mean, they're going to move up to the varsity level. And like I said, we've got some great numbers that have been in the weight room so far, and great numbers that have, put in the time.
So you mentioned staff, and obviously you took over as head coach. So who's now the staff at the?
That's that's the $1 million question right now. It is me as the head coach. Brett Collins is probably going to be my varsity assistant. We got another guy, this Mike Revolta, who has volunteered the last few years. He played at Holt, and then after that, that's all we've got so far. So we have interviews on Thursday. I don't know when this is going to be airing, but that's in 2 days. We've got some interviews. We're interviewing 5 guys, I think, and for 2 positions, and hopefully, we'll find the right fit for those 2 positions. And even, I've been in contact with some other guys about maybe volunteering and just kind of paying them a little bit, to get a full staff. So that's kind of been one of the biggest challenges, I think, right now, is that it's kind of been a bit of a 2-man show between me and Coach Collins, and he's been doing a tremendous job, with everything. He's a big numbers guy, and, we've been bouncing ideas back and forth of how we want this thing to look, and yeah.
And that's the exciting part is you get to make it look however you want it to look.
Right.
But the scary part is you get to make it look however you want it to look.
Right.
So,
right.
Like even for tryouts, and obviously you got a lot of options, and the depth I think is going to push, like you're saying, push those upper level kids where when they know they're sophomores, they're good right behind them. And that's, I think, any program you have that depth pushing.
Right.
Have you kind of decided what tryouts are going to look like? Or is it similar to what they've experienced in the past, or something different?
Yeah, and I think that's been one of, I guess, my biggest struggles so far in the month and a half, 2 months that I've had this job is, I do feel like I have a lot of experience, and I've worked with a lot of great coaches, and I know I've listened to this podcast a few times. I think a couple of the coaches have mentioned the baseball coaches, the Brain Trust email. I mean, that resource has just been phenomenal with the amount of stuff that some of these coaches have been putting in there. And you look at what some of these coaches have put in there, and you see that they've won some state titles and they've been so successful. And you're like, well, that's why, but also you get to a point where there's almost too much information sometimes. And you your brain has to, you have to figure out exactly what you want. And that's, I think, been the biggest part right now. I mean, I a lot of the things that I think we did at Howell with, even with tryouts and everything, a lot of that's going to, transfer over. It was good last year, seeing a different program, and seeing how they ran tryouts, how they did things. I did I coached mostly the freshmen, so we were kind of on our own. One thing that we did last year a lot was like team, like program practices. Mm-hmm. So especially when we were like installing first and thirds and bunt coverages and defensive stuff, we kind of set up stations, around, like we did picks in right field, and it was like, the freshmen were doing picks, and then varsity was doing first and thirds, and then, JV was over on the JV field doing bunt coverages or whatever, and we kind of rotated around, and everybody, so everybody got the same terminology, and everybody was on the same page. And I really like that. JV and varsity practiced a lot together as well, so that there was a lot of similarities between those two groups. But yeah, I think a lot of it depends on the coaching staff and kind of just the experience level of some of the guys, and where we're at come January, February, March with how things are really going to look.
There is, like you were saying, there's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of ways to do it, but finding the best fit for your personality, your staff, and for your kids and your program is all that matters. I mean, you can take in everything you want, but at the same time, for North Point program, for you to establish, hey, I've seen it this way, I'm going to try refine it.
Right.
So it's a lot of the ideas, and it's been interesting. Like, obviously we've seen tryouts one way, but talking to coaches, what they do, it does vary greatly.
Right.
And it really is what the coach is comfortable with and what you want to instill. And
yeah. And like I said, obviously, like, it's been quite a few years, but I mean, I coached 3 years at Francis Howell Central, and Coach Howard did a tremendous job at Howell Central and ran a great program there. So, I've seen from his perspective, I was with Coach Perkins at Francis Howell for 16 years. So, I mean, I've seen that and seen the success and the work that it takes to build a program and to build the success that he's had. And then, last year being at North Point and being, kind of a younger staff, and a new school, and seeing how that was being built. And actually I've been talking, one of the big resources that I've been talking to, one of the assistant principals at North Point is Andrew Elmendorf. I mean, who was arguably one of the most successful coach in Troy's history, in all honesty, right, in his years there. And so, he's thrown me a ton of ideas. And so, it really is kind of putting that all together and refining and building exactly what we want and works best for us. And
what works for this, obviously with this group, it seems like you got some good senior leadership. You got young kids pushing them. I mean, you have every component that you need to really put a quality team out there. So
yeah, and the one thing that I have been extremely impressed, and probably the biggest thing that I've noticed with this group just overall, is their willingness to work. I mean, I don't know that even last year, I don't know that a practice went by, and even this fall when we were doing some open gyms and stuff, I don't think one of those days went by where they didn't ask to stay a little bit longer, or to, hey, can we, get more ground balls, or can we, have more VP, or can we work on this or work on that? And again, the numbers we've had in the weight room and this off season stuff so far, and I know it's still early, have been a great sign for this program and its future.
No, there's no, and you guys at North Point don't know you, but that work ethic it pays off. Like, we've seen it, I've seen it many, many times where you get some talent, which obviously you guys do, and you have some depth and push each other, and you can have some fun. You can achieve great things, man. I hope you guys win a ton of games and have success.
Me too.
I hope, because I'm sure you do. Like, I would love to be in Springfield watching you. Like, hey, look at that guy. I coached him long ago, but that's okay.
I know.
No, I appreciate you coming on and going through all this stuff. And again, congratulations. Everyone I've talked to is so excited for you and excited for North Point, and every coach I've talked to is like, man, he's the right guy for that system. So
thank you.
Everyone's pulling for you except for when they play against you.
That's right.
But
that's right.
I'm not playing against you. So
that's right.
I'm cheering for you. So anyway, thank you for that. Thank you for watching. Again, if you enjoyed this, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, share it to family members, friends, whoever you want to send that to. We appreciate you doing that. we will be back next week or soon with another preview from the G.A.C. Central. So appreciate you watching. Have a great day.
Hey, hey, hey.